Hi, and welcome to the online information session for Apogee Adventures. My name is Claudia Bierman, and I am an assistant director with Apogee, and I'm excited to spend the next little bit of time talking to you about what we do as a company, the positions we're recruiting for, and our application process. But most importantly, I'm excited to talk to you about what sets Apogee apart from other outdoor adventure companies. Our application process is currently live, and we are hiring trip leaders, support staff, summer assistant directors, and also hiring a gear warehouse manager. Here at Apogee, we run trips for kids in the summer that are designed for middle and high schoolers, and each trip has a primary focus. We run hiking, biking, and community service trips, and then we also run specialty trips like our Maine Coast College essay trip and our Maine Coast photo trip. Alongside each of these, we also work with a variety of outfitters, so in addition to hiking or biking, you might also be climbing, whitewater rafting, sea kayaking, maybe you're going ice climbing, or zip lining, snorkeling, or maybe surfing. But regardless of what trip you might end up on, the foundation to each trip is the same. Every group is made up of 12 students of mixed genders and between 2 to 3 trip leaders with who you lead your whole summer with. Unlike a typical summer program, though, we don't have a central base camp, and rather our trips are all over and can take you to some of truly the most beautiful places around the world. You might be biking in Vermont or over hiking in Maine. Maybe you're in the Pacific Northwest on a backpacking trip, or in Alaska on an overnight sea kayaking expedition. You might be in Puerto Rico, or down in Costa Rica. Or you might head over to Europe to hike in the Pyrenees, or cross the border between mountains between Switzerland and Italy as you circumnavigate Mont Blanc. Or maybe you're biking through 7 different countries on one of our most epic trips, Europe coast to coast. We also like to note that our first-year leaders have led all over. There are so many possibilities as a new leader when you join the team. So what does it look like day to day? On each of these trips, you'll be camping in a tent most nights of your summer. But with that said, on some of our specialty trips, you might find yourself in a rustic indoor accommodation, like a hostel, or maybe a cottage on the Maine coast. For each of these trips, we have the logistics planned out so that you don't have to worry about them. Campsite reservations, routing, directions, permits, outfitters, all of it. This gives you, as a leader, more time to be present with your kids and gives you the freedom to choose things like your day hikes and your meal planning and your grocery shopping. And your job is to do these amazing activities while moving your group from one location to the next, whether that's in a van or by bike. What else can you expect from your summer overall? You'll have days off between trips, you'll lead between 2 to 4 trips during your summer, and all of your Apogee-related travel, food, and lodging are all covered, so it ends up being a pretty low expense summer. In terms of pay, we pay in the highest range of similar organizations. And of course, being an outdoor company, we have pro deals galore. Truthfully, one of the strongest and biggest pieces to the Apogee world are the quality of our leaders. And that's why you're here and watching this. We can't say enough wonderful things about our Apogee leaders. We look for people who have previous leadership experience and co-leadership experience, who have strong decision-making skills, are resilient, dynamic, adaptable, but equally weighted alongside each of these qualities is the fact that our leaders are enthusiastic about working with kids. They're also just plain fun. We really cannot overstate how much of a responsibility it is to be looking after 12 young people in a dynamic and active environment and bringing them on these adventures. We look for people who have held leadership positions before, have had to make hard decisions, and who are ultimately going to be able to rise to the challenge of being out in the field. You're constantly wearing different hats as a leader and switching between different skill sets, between working with your kids, your co-leader, working with the office and interacting with the public, like professional outfitters, your community service partners, parents. We look for folks who are dynamic and can jump in these roles. Overall, though, we're also looking for people who can be role models. Your kids look up to leaders so much, and they're looking to them 24/7. The students absorb everything from their leaders, and we want that to be a really positive, lasting impact. When we hire our leaders, we want to make sure that they're coming in with this large range of skills that we just talked about. But we also want to make sure that we, as Apogee, are also preparing our leaders before they head out into the field to make sure that they feel confident on their trips. To do this, we have a 2-week in-house training for all leaders. We bring in past leaders to help facilitate and talk about what life is like on trip. We also bring in professionals to talk about mental, social, and emotional health, as well as bringing in an outside facilitator to run our diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop. Along with these facilitators, we also work through talking about the hard skills, whether that's bike mechanics or hiking skills, as well as everything that you need to know about food and meal planning and cooking skills. We also spend a huge chunk of time on the soft skills too, where we dedicate time preparing our leaders with how to talk with youth about mental health, how to manage group dynamics, and of course, all of the different types of games to play on trip. After our classroom portion, you head out on training trip where you get to put these skills to use and experience what it's like to be on your own Apogee trip. This is also a time for peer-to-peer learning and to grow bonds between the Apogee community. To better understand what it's like at leader training, we brought in Sarah Shepard, who was a first-year leader last year, to lead our Pacific Coast biking trip to talk a bit about what these 2 weeks are like.
Leader training really prepared me well for a summer of leading with Apogee, as it pretty much encompasses anything you may need to know throughout your summer. I came in not knowing much about bikes or leading bike trips and came out of leader training feeling fully prepared for my summer. And I think equally as important to the hard skills that I learned, like bike mechanics and cooking nutritious meals, were the soft skills that I learned, like dealing with a large group and social dynamics. And then leader training trip really puts those skills into action and helps you practice them before you're out in the field with 12 students.
So we've talked about what Apogee does, where we go, how these trips are run, who our leaders are, and how we train them. And truthfully, there are a number of outdoor companies where you could do something somewhat similar. But I really want to dive into what sets Apogee apart from other outdoor education and outdoor adventure companies that you could work for, and really, why Apogee? Our values are centered around 3 main ideas: community, confidence, and fostering a love for the outdoors. Let's start off with community. It's truly at the heart of everything that we do, and we kind of break it into 4 different categories. To start off with, Apogee has a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We really believe that communities are going to be that much more meaningful when they're filled with more diverse groups of people, opinions, backgrounds, perspectives. And because we're a small company, we have the power to make really tangible changes. Some of these changes have included increasing the number of student scholarships available, creating an additional fund for summer compensation for folks from marginalized communities to make it economical to work with us, removing different barriers for our application process, and we also now work with a gear sharing program to make sure that our staff and students have access to the gear that they need for the summer. Next is our community service component. All of our domestic itineraries have a community service element. We want to give back to the areas that we are lucky enough to be exploring. Whether it's the primary focus of a trip or something in addition on the itinerary, we want our students to contribute to the community that we're visiting. The third biggest aspect to the Apogee community is this deep feeling of the Apogee family while out on trip. It's one of our primary values on our trip to create such a deep sense of connection between our students and leaders. We have tons of different Apogee traditions, like our Apogees and Paragees circle at the end of the night. The last is our staff community. During leader training, our staff get incredibly close. We've seen countless people meet at leader training and stay best friends for years. So much of this deep community stems from these 2 folks, our directors, Kevin and Chad, here on this screen. And unlike so many other companies, we're a small office. So when you call and reach out to us, you know you're talking to one of these 7 people. Our directors care about you and take the time to get to know who you are as a person, not just a regular summer employee. To hear more about what community means to our leaders, we heard from Mark, who's a 5th-year Apogee leader.
One of the coolest parts about being an Apogee leader for me is the community of awesome and unique people that you get to be a part of. I've made some of my best friends with Apogee, and everybody that I've met has both encouraged and inspired me to just wake up every morning with a smile, that it's a new chance to try new things and meet new people and just simply have fun with life. I feel super lucky to be a part of Apogee, and it's a family that I know I'm going to be close with forever.
So alongside community as one of our key pillars, the next is confidence. We want to instill a strong sense of confidence into our students that translates from their trip back to when they're in school or in their own community. Each of our trips are designed with the idea of achievable challenge, something that we know is going to push our students, but as well, achievable. This desire to build confidence is not just for our students, though. We want our staff and our leaders to understand that independently running a trip, balancing a budget, making hard decisions, doing challenging problem solving, all of this is building an incredible amount of confidence in our leaders. You have a huge impact on your students, and they become new people because of you. Let's hear from another first-year leader from last year, Dana, to talk about confidence a bit.
Leading for Apogee made me more confident in myself. You pick up your kids and it's like, geez, I am responsible for this. That trip on the website only happens because of what I do starting now. And then you look back in a few weeks and you've made it happen. And you and your co are running through this mountain of responsibilities like clockwork, and your kids are smiling, and it reminds you, okay, I am capable. I am adaptable. I can get us into camp on time and help get our laundry done and organize that game we love and whip up a big pot of curry. It's really empowering.
The last of our 3 pillars is our value for fostering a love for the outdoors. This one is a little bit more self-explanatory. We're an outdoor company. We want our students to disconnect from their devices, leave the drama of whatever is going on in school, and connect with people who they wouldn't have otherwise known or met, and be in a place they've never been. At Apogee, we're fostering the next generation of environmental stewards, and we want to instill a deep love and appreciation for the outdoors, all while doing pretty awesome things in beautiful places. The impact that leading for Apogee can have on your life is immeasurable. Our leaders are constantly reaching back out to us to tell us stories about how they cited their time at Apogee as some of the most valuable work experience that they did during their college careers. The skills that you gain while leading for Apogee translate to so many different areas. We've had people go on to medical school, become lawyers, work as engineers, be Fulbright scholars, and they use their Apogee experience to set them apart as candidates. Our past leaders have had so much success in so many different fields. Cece, who led for Apogee a few years back, is now an entrepreneur and founder of her own company and wanted to share her story with us.
Apogee has really prepared me for my current career. I'm an entrepreneur and started my own canned cocktail company called Troop. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think canned cocktails and leading hiking and bike touring trips have that much in common, but that's actually where you're wrong. Every single day at Troop, I'm faced with new challenges, and Apogee, being a leader, really helped me face those challenges and learn how to deal with them. Another thing with being an entrepreneur is you have to have a lot of patience and a lot of resilience, and that's definitely something that I learned by being a leader at Apogee.
So what comes next? Our application link is live on our website. We do have some basic requirements before you arrive. You have to be at least 20 years old by June 12th, 2023, and then available from June 12th to August 13th of 2023. You'll also need to complete an interview, whether that's a Zoom interview or in person, and we require 3 outstanding personal references. We also require a certification in wilderness first aid or responder, but that's not necessary at the time of application. You'll just need to complete it before the summer begins. We have 3 different hiring periods throughout the year, and you can find more information and details about deadlines on our website. We can't wait to connect with you. If you have any questions, Feel free to reach out to staff@apogeeadventures.com to get in touch with someone from our team. Thanks for listening.